What's going on YouTube? So over the last decade or so, as people have shifted towards crossovers, the Tucson has become more and more popular in the Hyundai brand. It is now their best-selling product, which is why Hyundai has gone all in with this fully redesigned 2022 Tucson. This is the new plug-in hybrid model, boasting 32 miles of pure EV range. So is this the family crossover for you? Let's go ahead and find out. So when you first walk up to this new plug-in hybrid version of the Tucson, it's really not much that's going to tell you that this is the plug-in model. Actually, up here in the front, there's going to be nothing that tells you because Hyundai has kept the same design from this fully redesigned Tucson model. That does mean with the two trim levels that it's available in, which is SEL and limited trim levels, the equipment and the design will mirror those levels to the equivalent hybrid and gas-powered models, including things like the nice blacked out grille that the limited model gives you, including the blacked out Hyundai badge through there. Additionally, you still have those really cool headlights that blend right into the grille and come up. So all this is the daytime running light, which looks really cool at night. And then this is your main headlight cluster. You're gonna have standard LEDs on both trim levels, but the limited model is the only one that will give you the projector LEDs. The other one will be reflector LEDs. Now, one thing that's just a little bit different for the plug-in hybrid model versus the gas and hybrid models is the fact that both versions will get these 19-inch wheels. So these are the same design that you usually get on the limited trim level, but you do get this with the PHEV SEL. They look really nice. I love the design. A lot of details here, like the little lines and the contrast through here. Looks really good, especially with the Amazon gray paint that we have on this example. As we come up here to our mirrors, you will of course have standard heating, standard blind spot monitoring, and then the Limited gives you the chrome accent. So if you watched any of our other reviews about the Tucson, you'll know that it has grown 6.1 inches for this new generation, making it one of the largest ones in the segment. That of course does carry on for the plug-in hybrid model. And then you do have the roof rails up top. Now as we come around to the rear design, again, you're going to have much to distinguish this as the plug-in hybrid model. So you still have the really bold design that Hyundai cooked up. You've got these fang-shaped LED tail lights that kind of puncture down. Really neat looking design characteristic. You've got the emblem up here, which is actually flat inside of the glass. But then we do have one way we can tell, and that's the fact that we have plug-in written out across the back. So that's pretty much the only way on the exterior you're going to be able to tell the difference between the two. Down here at the bottom, of course, no exposed exhaust outlets, but I do want to mention the tow rating is 2,000 pounds for this plug-in hybrid model. But of course, no matter which type of propulsion you have, safety is paramount for a family crossover. And I'm very happy to report Hyundai is giving you all the core safety systems as standard equipment. That's going to be automatic forward emergency braking, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, as well as adaptive cruise control. Now, if you choose the top-end limited like what we have today, that's also going to get you rear automatic braking as well as their smart parking system. And talking about the warranties, of course, every Hyundai has the 5-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, plus 3 years of complimentary maintenance. But that's going to be it for the exterior. Now let's go ahead and go into the interior, take a brief look at the inside, see if anything is different in there. But most importantly, we're going to go and take it out for a drive.
All right, guys, come on inside this Tucson PHEV. I know you're probably very curious of what you're going to get inside of this cabin because you might have already seen some content on the Tucson. You want to know if there are any differences. So let's go ahead and get into that. First of all, I'll talk about the key fob. This is your typical key fob. This is the nice newest Hyundai design. It has a really nice feel in the hand. You do also have your smart park buttons right here as well. Push button start is standard for the PHEV, so you can just go ahead and start it up like that. And of course, since this is a PHEV, the engine isn't going to start up when you initially start the vehicle. So we'll start out here with the broad materials categories. And in this area, there is not going to be any differences for the PHEV version of the Tucson, which certainly is a good thing because the regular Tucson is one of the nicest cabins in the entire segment. So let's break down some of your elements. Up here in the top part, we do have a nice soft touch plastic, has a nice graining to it. We have the really cool detail of the vent kind of cornering around. We have a nice cloth material here, almost like a leatherette. And down here you are going to have some hard touch material, some piano black, but everything does feel very solid and fit together well. Now for your seating, let's go ahead and talk about this. Since the Tucson PHEV is available in 2 trim levels, the base model will have cloth seating. It's going to be available in black or gray colors. Same thing for the Limited though. We have black or gray colors, however they're swapping out the cloth seating for this really nice leather seat. It has a nice perforated design to it. It's the same design that you see in the Limited gas version of the Tucson. Now coming over here to our door trim area, we do have an automatic front 2 windows. The back windows are going to be power though. We're also going to have 2-person memory seating for the Limited trim level. Also, we're going to have standard 8-way power adjusting passenger or driver seat on every single PHEV Tucson. Now, let's go ahead and look at the gauge cluster design for this model. So you're noticing that it is, of course, a digital gauge cluster design. This is the 10.25-inch display that you get on the Limited trim level. If you go for the base version of the PHEV, you will have a smaller 4.2-inch multifunction display. This, of course, is going to be the more premium setup that has stuff like your blind camera, your blind spot camera system, which is a really nice touch. It also changes with the different drive modes as you've grown to expect from Hyundai. Now, as far as other things, let's go back to our steering wheel. Our steering wheel is going to be nicely leather wrapped. It's our newest Hyundai design. I really love the way this looks. We have several buttons on this. It's also going to be heated for the Limited model. Now let's go ahead and talk about the storage component of the Tucson PHEV. So you'd be glad to know that they haven't really impeded on any interior storage for the plug-in components. So our coupons, yes, we did bring them to Tennessee and get our hot and ready Little Caesar's Pizza coupons. Throw those in there. As you can see, they fit in perfectly fine, And then as far as up in front of that, we do have some cup holders. As you can see, it does fit a nice bottle. And then up in this area, you will notice that we have a wireless phone charging pad. It's kind of filled up with some junk right now, but definitely big enough to fit a larger iPhone. And then coming back to this area, we're going to have a standard electronic shifter for the PHEV Tucson. So nice, easy to operate. D for drive. If you push the R, that's going to take you in reverse. We're going to have a 360-degree camera for the Limited version. It's, of course, very high resolution. We have dynamic grid lines. This is one of the best 360 cameras in the entire segment. I do want to point out this button, though, because this is really where you're going to find the big difference for the plug-in hybrid model, this EV/HEV button. That's going to allow you to lock the vehicle in pure EV mode or hybrid mode. Right now we have 0 electric range, but we will talk about that in the test drive component. Then up in front of that, we do also have some elements here. We have heated and ventilated seats for the Limited version. Heated seats are going to be standard on every single PHEV model. And then if we come up to our climate controls, you're going to have dual zone climate control as well. These are going to be the touch capacitive setup, so you can just adjust your temperatures like that. I'm normally not a fan of touch capacitive climate controls. However, this has been pretty easy to use throughout the day today. I do also want to mention you do get an upgraded audio system for choosing the Limited model. And as far as the display here is concerned, we're looking at a 10.25-inch high-resolution display for the Limited version. As you can see, we do have built-in navigation on this particular model. However, if you go for the base PHEV, that's going to reduce the size down to 8 inches, give you a lower resolution display. However, that is going to throw in wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, whereas this one is just the wired variety. Now coming up to the top, we do have a auto-dimming mirror, HomeLink universal remotes built in. And if you go for the Limited, you're going to have this really nice feature. You have the panoramic moonroof, which is actually quite large. Now let's go ahead and hop into the back seat area of the Tucson. Once again, the same story is going to, there's a water bottle on my butt, there we go. Once again, the same story is going to take place for the PHEV version of the Tucson because no changes here over the regular gas model. Large legroom figures, you're looking at 39.5 inches of legroom, 37 inches of headroom. This is one of the largest offerings in the entire segment. As you can see, I mean, I have probably 7 inches behind my own seating position. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. Very, very comfortable. This is one of the most spacious offerings in the entire segment. Here we have vents in the middle, which is a nice touch. 2 USB ports as well. And then if you turn to the door trim, you'll notice that we have 2-stage heated rear seats. That's going to be on the limited trim only on the PHEV, as well as a really nice door trim. Now let's come on up to the tailgate area. We do have a hands-free smart opening one. And then let's check out this cargo department. So as far as the cargo area is concerned, we're looking at a little bit over 30 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row. That expands to 66 cubic feet as a maximum. Now, if you're good with your numbers, you might have realized that's a little bit less than the gas-powered version of the Tucson. To be exact, it's around 8 cubic feet less. So having that battery has impeded just a little bit on the cargo capacity of this Tucson plug-in hybrid. So if you need that maximum capacity, you might have to go for a gas-powered model. However, I think overall this is still one of the largest things in the segment that you can get. There's a lot of space back here. Obviously it swallows up our camera gear. The seats do fold 60-40 split still. And then if we lift up the floor, there is areas right here. That's actually where the charger is. There's a nice little slot designed for your plug-in charger. And there's 55 miles an hour in the all-new Tucson plug-in hybrid. Very quick acceleration. It's spiffy, up to 60 miles an hour.
Right, yeah. This is the most powerful version of the Tucson, actually. And you can tell that, especially right off the line.
Yeah, you just gotta allow the transmission to kick in a little bit, get off that electric power, and certainly this plug-in hybrid Tucson is definitely the fastest one. We're looking at 261 horsepower as a total system output. Of course, you do have the 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder as your motor. You also have electric motors and the 13.8 kilowatt hour battery pack to all together make 261 horsepower. We actually just got out of the Santa Fe plug-in hybrid, which has the exact same powertrain as this. This, of course, is a little bit of a smaller vehicle, so this feels a little bit faster as well.
Now, we won't keep you in suspense. You want to know, of course, what's the range, because it is a plug-in hybrid after all, and having that larger battery pack over top of the traditional hybrid model means you have the ability to go 32 pure electric miles. So that is, I would say, within the boundaries of most people's average commute, especially if you live in the city, if you're sitting in traffic, something like that. I think you'll really be able to commute easily to your workplace and back under full EV power. And that, of course, is the point of having the plug-in hybrid, that you can stay mostly in electric power and then you still have the gas motor to back you up if you extend your trip beyond your normal bounds of everyday life. Now, I do have some unfortunate news. We actually have 0 miles of range. We're on a drive program and we're the last up for driving the Tucson plug-in, so we are out of battery and we're in rural Tennessee, so we're not going to be recharging it either.
Nope.
So when you're out of battery, this is what happens.
Yeah, it just goes into hybrid mode, basically. So we did extensively test out the Tucson hybrid. We had one of those back home in Lexington. And, you know, this feels pretty much like the hybrid version right now. I mean, that's what it's doing. You know, if you go down a hill, it goes ahead and turns the engine off.
Turn right onto Johnson Hollow Road.
Yeah. And it definitely feels really, really peppy off the line, even with the battery fully discharged.
Continue for 1 mile.
Yeah, I mean, that right there is 60 miles an hour. Really, for anything in this segment, this is really about the fastest thing that I've tested out. Turbo Mazda CX-5, CX-50 are certainly pretty quick. This, of course, is a different mission than that turbo model, of course. But
right, and this would kind of go toe-to-toe with maybe a RAV4 Prime, right, or definitely a RAV4 Prime, and acceleration is pretty much in line with that.
Now, I also want to talk about this right here. You're noticing this doesn't really sound like a hybrid, and what I mean by that is we have a 6-speed automatic transmission, so that's going to be a unique element really for these Hyundai Kia hybrids, is that you have a traditional automatic. A lot of times if you go for a hybrid or a plug-in, it's going to be a full CVT transmission, or CVT, and I mean, I couldn't be more pleased that it has a 6-speed automatic, because it really just allows it to have a more traditional feel to it. Yeah, and as you can see, just merging onto the freeway, this is a quite responsive automatic transmission. You know, we really have no complaints. We spent pretty extensive time with the 6-speed automatic, and it's certainly a good transmission to have on board.
Right, you know, if you had any 6-speed automatics in the past, this basically kind of feels like that. And let's go ahead and talk about the fuel economy. Now, I don't think we mentioned it up to this point. All versions of the plug-in hybrid, as well as the regular hybrid Tucson, actually do have standard H-track all-wheel drive. And with this whole system in play, we do have some fuel economy measures, because sometimes, you know, you are in hybrid mode or whatever. So, like today. So when you're running in a hybrid mode, you're going to have a combined rating of 30 miles per gallon, which is less than the traditional hybrid. The traditional hybrid would be 38 combined. That's just because this has the additional weight on board, but 70 mpge when you're running a combined system, and of course the 32 miles of pure EV range that we discussed earlier.
And another thing I want to talk about is the ride quality. Now, of course, as you probably expect, the PHEV is no different than the regular Tucson, and we've been nothing but impressed with this vehicle's ride quality. It has awesome ride quality, even though we have the 19-inch wheels, which is the largest wheels you can get on a Tucson. I mean, it has phenomenal ride quality, and just kind of cruising down the highway here is a perfect example of just how smooth it is. It's incredibly comfortable for you and your family to take on road trips. The seats are awesome. And also, I want to point out, it is very quiet in here. We are at highway speeds right now. We're in Nashville, and we're not really familiar with the area, so we don't know what roads to get on to get that 55 miles an hour for our sound level reading. So we apologize that we don't have that with us today, but we are traveling, so we don't exactly know where we're at. But I can just tell you, this is going to be quite a bit quieter than even the regular version, which is already quiet because, of course, the engine is going to be off about half the time, so it only gets quieter. I also want to mention the handoff between EV power as well as gas power, because that's a really also quite impressive element. If you watched our hybrid review, you know that we're very impressed by this. As you can see right now, we're cruising at 65 miles an hour in pure EV. So the handoff is completely, you can't hear it or feel it at all, especially if you're cruising along. And even at low speeds with no music or anything going on, it's still hard to detect when it switches.
Right, the 1.6 turbo is a very quiet motor.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get into today's slam dunk and airball. So, for the slam dunk, we're going to say it is the ability to go the 32 miles in pure electric. We always really loved the Tucson hybrid, our past testing of it, but having that ability to travel under pure electric power really is a good advantage, and really does help the vehicle to, be more appealing to people who can make that half step between gas-powered and full electric, like that Cadillac Lyric that's driving past us. Yeah,
I love that Lyric. Yeah, interesting. Here in Nashville. Okay. Now, as far as our airball is concerned, one area that we see a little bit of between choosing this and the hybrid is that the plug-in hybrid does reduce your cargo capacity down by about 8 cubic feet. That makes this one of the. It's not by far not the smallest in the segment, but it definitely takes it off of its throne of being one of the largest in the segment. So it would be nice if, like some of the other plug-in hybrids, that it didn't reduce the amount of cargo capacity offered.
And of course, last but certainly not least here, we do have to talk about pricing information. So you might be wondering, what's the price premium here? Let me pull out my pricing information. The plug-in hybrid and the SEL, which is the base trim level, is going to start at $34,400. The limited, like we have today, is $43,200, which is going to be a $5,800 price premium over the limited hybrid model. That being said, you might be plus $5,800, but then you're going to be minus $6,200 when you apply your federal tax credit, because this does qualify for that $6,200 tax credit, which is certainly important to bringing that price down to basically the hybrid price.
Right. And guys, I think that's a really good way to end this Tucson PHEV's review. This is a car where really you have no sacrifices besides just a little bit of cargo space in the back, but you have a lot to gain, especially if you're traveling short distances on your daily commute. 30 miles of electric range could get you there in full EV power. And in addition to that, the price, yes, it's a little bit higher in the sticker, but you are going to get that tax rebate. So if all of those things sound good to you, this Tucson is really going to impress you.
It's in snow mode.
Snow?
Yeah, it says snow.
Oh.
Disabled acceleration.
I was like...
Okay,
I was like, that's worse.
Something's not right. Something, I knew that was not right. There was no acceleration at all.
Okay,
there we go.
I had it to the floor. It was to the floor. I was like,
We were not going anywhere. I was like, are we broke down? We're going to have to call roadside assistance.
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us on this in-depth look at the all-new Hyundai Tucson plug-in hybrid. If you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button down below. We really appreciate it. It gives us more opportunities like this to be in Nashville checking out some of the latest Hyundai products. So if you want to see that on our channel, please hit that subscribe button down below. Also, tell a friend or family member to subscribe as well. We also have TikToks and Instagrams that you can find us on, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.